Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we're the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Thousands of devotees took to the streets for the Traslacion celebrating the feast of Jesus Nazarene.
Two lawmakers have petitioned the Supreme Court to strike down the unprogrammed appropriations in the 2026 budget.
Mayon volcano ejects pyroclastic flows as it continues to show high level of unrest.
The award-winning film The Kingdom is set to return as a television series, The Kingdom, Magkabilang Mundo.
The annual Traslacion of Jesus Nazareno is now underway in Manila, with thousands of devotees gathering anew for the procession. Here's the report.
Humility and devotion took center stage during the homily of Most Reverend Rufino Juncescon Jr. at the Misa Mayor of the 2026 Traslacion. The prelate urged devotees to follow the example of Jesus Christ, to love more deeply, and to humble oneself. This message echoed the theme of this year's feast, He must increase, but I must decrease. The theme is taken from the testimony of St. John the Baptist about Jesus Christ.
Pero paano nga ba tunay na bumaba? Alam nyo mga kapatid, may nauna na sa ating bumaba. At ito'y walang iba kung hindi si Jesus Nazareno. Una, siya ay bumaba ng kusa upang lalong magmahal. Hindi siya napilitan lamang. Kusang loob siyang bumaba dahil sa awa at pag-ibig.
The Archbishop also said that those involved in the flood control scandal should likewise learn to humble themselves.
Sa ating bayan ngayon, may mga ayaw bumaba kahit malina at bistado na. Ayaw bumaba kahit pahirap na sa bayan. Tama na. Maawa na kayo sa taong bayan.
An estimated 90,000 devotees gathered at the Quirino Grandstand to attend the Misa Mayor and express their devotion to the Black Nazarene. Each came with different intentions and prayers.
Nanggaling na rin ako dati rito, hiningi ko sa Panginoong Nazareno na gumaling yung asawa ko. Sa awa ng Diyos, gumaling naman sa cancer.
Mas mahabang buhay. Masaya, 2026. Siguro mga 8 ng gabi. Kasi may mga batang kasama. Kaya naman maghintay. Nandito na nag-iintay na di sulitin na natin Kasi once a year lang naman po ito
Some devotees were caught in a commotion last night, allegedly due to improper queuing. Several children and elderly individuals were among those trapped in the crowd. According to witnesses, some people suddenly cut into the line, triggering pushing and congestion along the route.
Maraming mga sumingit, nagtulakan, tapos talaga nawala yung patong pila. So talagang maraming nag-stampede dun sa may daanan. May mga parang biglang dumating, tapos bigla silang madami talaga grupo.
Authorities say the Manila Police District remains on alert to ensure the safety of devotees. Medical teams are also on standby for those needing medical attention. Meanwhile, the Traslacion proper began peacefully in the early hours at the Quirino Grandstand. At exactly 4 a.m., the procession officially started, earlier than last year when the Traslacion began at around 4:41 in the morning. The andas or carriage of the Black Nazarene moved steadily out of the Quirino Grandstand. Several hijos immediately appealed to devotees to refrain from pushing. There was a brief commotion after some temporarily blocked devotees to prevent the andas from being overwhelmed. Moments later, they allowed the crowd to move forward. As the procession turned right toward Katigbak Drive, some devotees began pushing in an attempt to meet the andas. Despite this, devotees continued to offer personal prayers as part of their vows.
Para sa akin, parang himala po kasi talagang gumaling ako sa karamdaman ko. Buong pamilya na sana po gabayan kami at bigyan kami ng malakas na pangangatawan.
Panalangin ko sa Ama na gumanda pa ang mga buhay namin at maging matatag pa rin ang aming kalusugan.
The image of Jesus Nazareno departed from the Quirino Grandstand early Friday morning, signaling the start of Traslacion 2026. For updates, we go to mobile journalist Evan Tarinque. Evan, nasa na ang andas ngayon?
Yes, Angela, currently ngayon, nandoon pa rin siya sa may Ayala Boulevard, patawid ng Ayala Bridge sa mga oras na ito. Kanina nga, nalapitan natin sa may bandang Finance Wood itong andas kung saan nga medyo bumagal ulit yung pagdaan nito dahil nga doon sa volume ng mga tao na gustong makakapit at makapasok doon nga malapit sa andas. No? Kanina may mga nakausap tayo na talagang nakasampa na, yung tawag nila nakasampa na doon sa may anda kanina. And sabi nila, madali daw pumasok, mahirap makalabas dahil nga nagkakaroon ng salubungan yung mga gusto pumasok. Pero currently, nandito tayo sa may Quezon Bridge kung saan makikita nyo sa aking likuran, ito yung numbers, yung volume ng mga deboto ngayon araw dito sa may Quezon Bridge. No? Makikita natin, itong mga debotong to, galing to doon sa may kabilang side, yung galing sa mga Finance Road, at papunta naman sila dito, banda sa may Quezon Bridge, at sila Quezon Bridge papunta sa may Arlegui hanggang dito sa may Palangka. No? Pero kanina, dito sa may sa may Palangka Street, sa may Manila, nakita natin na meron na talagang volume ng tao, mga individuals doon sa baba. No? Talaga, pagdating natin doon sa, usually naman kasi nangyayari, pagdating dito sa may Carlos Palancas, may Arlegui, medyo mas lalong bumabagal yung daloy nung andas dahil nga congested, maraming tao, at masikip din kasi yung mga kalsada. Pero kanina, mga nag-ikot tayo doon sa mga medical tents, no? Karamihan daw yung mga dinadalo doon, yung mga kapatid natin na nasugatan sa paa, mga nabubog o kaya naman natusok nung mga barbecue stick na pakalat-kalat sa ngayon. Angela?
Evan, last year isa sa ng pabagal ng paggalaw ng andas was yung issue ng mga debotong sumasalubong, no? Going up opposite yung direksyon ng procession. This year, kaninang umaga, parang na-resolve yon because may mga ihos na itabig daw nila. Pero ngayon ba, continuous, controlled ang pagsalubong or hindi na kinaya?
Ayun na, Diego, nakita natin yan doon sa may bandang Finance Road, no? Kaya naman talaga mas bumagal doon yung daloy nga, yung paggalaw nga nung andas, no? Currently kasi, Ayala Boulevard pa rin. So, tatawid pa siya ng Ayala Bridge. Pero kung i-compare natin sa the previous years, ayon doon sa mga nakausap natin na talagang tumasama, pumupunta sa traslasyon, mas mabilis daw ngayong year, no? Dahil nga rin daw doon sa mga sinasabing upgrade ng andas na meron ng steering wheel sa loob, kaya naman mas kontrolado na yung pag-ikot nung paggalaw nung andas currently, no? So isa yun doon naging factor bakit mas mabilis ngayon. Pero let's see pa rin, no? Tinignan pa rin natin kung abot nga doon sa target na 12 hours na makauwi nga or makaibalik nga yung imahe ng Jesus Nazareno sa loob ng Quiapo Church, dahil currently medyo bumabagal ulit yung daloy ng tao.
Evan, gusto ko lang malaman yung pace at which the andas is moving, no? At this point, at this time last year, nasaan ba yung andas nun?
Diego, kasi last year, medyo mas late pa umalis yung andas last year from Quirino Grandstand. I believe before 5 a.m. No? Ngayon kasi,
4:41.
maaga. No? Maaga ngayon, around 4 a.m., nakaalis na siya kaagad. No, so the usual time around 10, I believe nandito na siya sa may bandang Carlos Palanca last year.
Yes.
Pero currently, ngayon, inaantay natin na nandun pa rin siya sa may Ayala Boulevard at tatawid pa rin siya sa may Ayala Bridge bago nga makaabot dito sa may Carlos Palanca. Nakikita niyo naman, maraming mga deboto na talagang lumalapit at umiikot.
So malabo,
ngayon.
Evan, malabo ang 12 hours.
Well, di natin masasabi, pero yun ang target pa rin, no? Diego, currently 12 hours, pero so far, kanina alas 4, 8 a.m. na nandun pa rin yan doon sa may Finance Road. So, 4 na oras sa bumabiyahe, pero medyo mabagay yung pag-ikot nito, Diego.
Well, as we speak, kumusta naman ang seguridad dyan? May mga nakita ka pa rin bang lumalabag doon sa mga pinagbabawal ngayon ng LGU ng Manila? And of course, yung mga nagtitinda ng mga pagkain, di ba? Isa yan sa mga binilin ni Mayor.
Alam mo, Angela, ito sa mga nagtitinda ng pagkain, no, talagang nakita natin na marami pa rin talaga nagtitinda ng mga pagkain, no, kahit nga pinagbawal na ito, lalo na yung may mga sticks, no. Kanina, may mga nakita pa rin tayong mga nagbibenta ng may mga banana cue na may mga sticks, no, banana cue, pati na rin yung mga, they call it, yung pusit na iniihaw, no. So, yung mga yan, may mga sticks at nakikita nga natin, pakalat-kalat, gaya na nga lang nito, Ito makikita natin. Dito sa may baba ng crew cab namin, ito makikita may mga sticks sa
Oo nga, no?
pakalat-kalat yan na ito, may mga sticks sa pakalat-kalat na delikado. Lalo na nakapaa ngayon yung mga individuals, no? So yan yung pinagbabawal ngayon na sana naman daw, wag munang tinda pero hindi mapigilan kasi yung ilang mga nagtitinda at talagang pinipili na pumwesto dito, no? Kaya naman yung iba ginagawa, binabaon yung mga sticks at itatapon na lang sa tamang lagayan. Diego, Angela?
Okay, so last year, 8.1 million ang mga nakilahok na mga deboto sa traslasyon. Ngayon ba, meron ka na bang estimate ng mga nakilahok at aasahan pa natin mga ilan?
Angela, kanina nung umaga bago umalis sa Quirino Grandstand, yung estimated more than 100,000 na kagad yung individuals na nabilang. Pero so far, ngayon, no, yung inaantay nga nila, they believe na pumarehas or mas dumami pa yung number ng deboto dito sa may dito nga sa traslasyon, no, kung last year nasa 8 million, where they expecting na baka tumapat din ng 8 million o lumagpas pa ng numbers from last year, pero currently wala pang official numbers na inilalabas. Ang nakita lang natin from the authorities is more than 100,000 yung current na bilang sa ngayon. Angela?
Alright, sige.
Thank you for the updates, mobile journalist Evan Tarinque. Stay safe. Devotees gather at the Minor Basilica and National Shrine of Jesus Nazareno in Quiapo as this year's traslasyon continues. And for the latest, we have mobile journalist Arles de los Santos. Arles, kamusta na?
Angela at Diego, nandito tayo ngayon sa harap mismo ng Quiapo Church kung saan nataas ang sikat ng araw pero hindi alintana yan ng mga deboto dito. Dahil kung titignan ninyo dito sa aking likuran, tuloy-tuloy ang pagdating nila, no, para ngayon sa sunod-sunod na misa na isinasagawa dito sa Quiapo Church. Alam nyo, dito so far napaka-strict, no, ng safety and security. Paikot-ikot yung kapulisan, pati yung ilang mga kawani ng lokal na pamahalaan ng Maynila, pati na din yung mga volunteers na nandito, no. Dito sa harapan natin, makikita natin merong fire truck mismo. At kanina, kapag merong anumang emergency, meron lamang pipito rito at bigla nang parang luluwag yung daanan and then papasok ng may dalang stretcher yung mga first responder dito. Pero kung makikita ninyo, pag itinaas natin ang camera dito, Angela, merong mga kapatid tayong deboto na nasa itaas na bahagi ng Center Island. Dahil dyan sa kabilang area na yan, ayan yung medyo maraming mga kapatid tayong Muslim, no? Pero tuloy-tuloy yung pag-merge as usual, payapa, at talagang yung mga deboto, they're really excited para sa pagdating dito ng Andas, no? Meron dito tayong mga makikita dito sa bahagi dito, may mga pagkain, dito may mga mga everlasting, mga tubig, at iba pang mga souvenir ng Nazareno, no? May mga bandana, may mga replika ng santo, at talagang yung mga tao halo-halo, mga bata, matanda, kalalakihan at kababaihan, tuloy-tuloy ang kanilang pagdating dito sa simbahan ng Quiapo.
And so far naman, wala pang naitatala ang PNP na mga major incident dyan sa, of course, sa buong activity ng traslasyon.
So for Angela, wala pa tayong natatanggap na untoward incident mula sa PNP, no? At dito, very smooth flowing yung paglabas at pasok ng mga deboto. Dito, sa bahagi na to, itong harapan ng simbahan, dito yung mga nagmimisa, nakatayo lamang sila dito. And then, actually, mas mabilis yung misa kumpara sa mga regular na isinasagawa dito sa Quiapo. And then after nun, lalabas na sila pa diretso dito, which is yung tumbok naman nito ay yung Quezon Bridge at yung Quezon Boulevard. Malapit doon sa Palangka Street. Doon medyo makapal na rin yung bilang ng mga tao. Ayan, kung makikita ninyo yung mga kumakaway dito sa atin, mga kabataan, mga kalalakihan at kababaihan, mga tindera. Talagang halo-halo ang mukha ng Quiapo ngayong araw sa pista ng Nazareno.
Arles, parang ang dami ko nakikita younger generation ngayon. Tama ba?
Ito.
Yan. Oh. Ang saya nyo, ha?
Oo.
Anong oras kayo nagpunta rito?
Shoutout sa mga ano. Sige! Umaga na dito na kami.
Tanungin mo, Arles, ano ang pinagdadasal nila, bakit sila nandyan?
Ano yung ipinagdarasal ninyo sa Nazareno?
Mabuhay pa na mabuhay.
Mabuhay ng mabuhay.
Parang mabuhay ka hanggat gusto mo
Mama, sikat na ako. Nahuli ako dito.
Thank you. Pero alam niyo, Angela at Diego, bukod sa mga kabataan dito, meron din tayong mga mas nakatatanda na mga deboto, no? Ate, okay lang po makapanayam kay ate. Ito si ate. Kanina pa si ate dito na nakatabi, no? Ate, kailan pa po kayo nag-start maging deboto ng Nazareno?
Tagal na po. Bata pa po ako. Iboto na po ako.
Mga ilang dekada na po?
Ito, nung ano pa, nung...
Yes, ato ang mga mama ko.
Kadalagahan pa. Okay. Ano po yung something kay Nazareno na talagang gustong-gusto ninyo at pinupuntahan niyo po yung pamamanatari?
Panata namin na sana, mabuhay kami matagal. Tapos, bigyan pa kami ng lakas.
At walang bukang kalboya. Saan pa po kayo nakatira?
Malapit po.
Thank you, thank you. So, ayan, Angela. Mas madami pa ako dito. Mga deboto, talagang hindi na uubos ang mga tao, pati ang kanilang energy, mataas na mataas talaga. Yung iba natutulog na sa may lapag, may dala silang mga karton, yung mga shiny na foil, doon na talaga sila natutulog kasi may iba galing pang labas ng Maynila, but they're really waiting for translasyon na inaasahan ngang matatapos sa 10 to 12 hours.
Arles, wait, ano ba status ngayon ng signals sa mga mobile devices ngayon sa area na yan? Kasi usually pinapatay nila yung signal, di ba?
Actually, Diego, mahirap na yung signal dito ng telepono. Sinusubukan tayong tawagan kanina via phone number, hindi na talaga pumapasok. So, naka-satellite internet na lang tayo dito, no, para maka-ere tayo. Kasi may mga signal jammer na inilagay sa iba't ibang mga bahagi ng 7 kilometers na radius na iikutan ng Andas, no, para nga sa kaligtasan daw ng publiko.
Yeah.
So, yung iba dito, walang bit-bit halos na kahit ano. Talagang yung kanila lamang mga sarili, mga nakapaa, may tubig siguro, yung iba na may mga mas nakapaganda. May mga bag, may pagkain, may tubig, may mga Vicks. Para nga daw kung magkaroon man ng emergency, talagang matugunan agad din nila yung kanilang mga pangangailangan.
Oo, kasi Arles, nung nandiyan ako nung Wednesday para gumawa ng storya, medyo may interference na yung signal doon sa lapel namin. So talagang nakita mo na at that early ay pinaghahandaan na nila yung seguridad. Anyway, maraming salamat sa iyo, ang ating mobile journalist Arles de los Santos, na nag-ulat dyan sa may Minor Basilica and Jesus of Nazarene Church. In other news?
Nakakatawa na yung may... Makikita mo usually kasi yung mga previous translation coverage, makikita mo very solemn, very yung mga older generation. But now, kikita sa video, the younger ones are engaging in this. And it's a fun and activity and they're appreciating it.
Then, tsaka ang ganda rin nung sinabi ni Arles when he said na iba-iba ang muka na nandito ngayon sa Quiapo habang nag-aantay sa translation.
Maganda na yung power of the Lord is reaching out to all denominations and ages.
And I also wanted to share with you yung study na nabasa ko na I read about yung crowd ng traslasyon na normally daw kapag ang isang crowd nasa isang crowd ka, ang brain mo daw would kumbaga parang magpapanik yan to get out of that crowd kasi masyadong malaki.
Baliktad daw sa traslasyon.
Bakit daw sa traslasyon wala ka naman daw na babalitaan, 'di ba, na stampede? Because number one, there is one common goal. Even though marami sila, milyon-milyon, pagdating daw nila sa traslasyon, sa proseso, one movement na sila, one body, one movement na sila. And most of the devotees na nandiyan dyan ay mga repeat participants na. So they know na what to do, na kapag yung isa nakasampa na, bababa na yung isa naman.
Pero more than
as they move forward.
Alam ko yung sinasabi mo if you're in a crowd that napagpanik ka, survival instinct of an individual is to
yung
leave.
brain mo would
But you know what that is in sa translation? I've read an article like that. That is called faith. In other words, there's something bigger than you in that crowd and everyone in that crowd. So alam nila na susundan namin tong Andas at no matter what, walang panic nangyayari.
Galing. So, ang ganda-ganda ng pagkakasabi na different bodies pero pagdating doon sa one body, one movement. No, they flow in the crowd.
Alright, PhilVox continues to warn residents of Albay about the threat of ashfall from Mayon's continued unrest. Here's the report.
Thick smoke billowing from Mayon volcano's crater greeted residents of Albay on Thursday. In a phone video taken in Santo Domingo, white plumes can be seen slowly creeping down the volcano slopes. According to PHIVOX Director Teresito Bacolcol, the phenomenon captured on video is called uson, or pyroclastic density current.
So ito yung lava dome natin sa taas nag-collapse, and ito yung na-produce niya, yung uson na ito. Yung uson ay parang avalanche yan ng pinaghalo-halong maiinit na abo, bato at gas. Fast-moving ito and can reach as fast as hundreds of kilometers per hour.
During the day, it appears as thick white smoke, but at night, it glows and burns like fire. Bacolcol added that pyroclastic flows do not just cause burns. They can also incinerate and melt anything in their path, just like in 1993, when more than 70 people died after being hit by uson. One of the survivors was then 24-year-old Arnulfo Arias, a resident of Barangay Matanag in Legazpi. Now 58 years old, the third-degree burns he sustained remained visible on various parts of his body. Arias recalled that he was farming at the foot of the volcano when smoke and ash suddenly engulfed the area.
Bali, nangyari po yung mag-aalauna po ata yun ng hapon. Bigla na lang po na may narinig akong parang bumabagsak bang mga buhangin. Sobrang bilis po. Segundo lang. Dahil tumakbo nga ako galing doon sa may tinataniman ko ng gulay, hindi nga ako nakalabas doon sa sarili naming lupa.
In an interview with The Big Story, PHIVOX Volcano Monitoring and Eruption Prediction Chief Mariton Borna said the newly formed lava dome at Mayon is expected to generate more pyroclastic density currents and rockfalls.
We expect the dome to shed a more pyroclastic density currents and rockfall, and also facilitate the formation of a lava flow. In fact, right now, there is already an incipient lava flow forming on two fronts of the dome.
Because of the volcano's continued activity, ashfall was reported in the towns of Anislag, Bakakay, Kamalig, Daraga, Legazpi City, and Ligao City. DSWD Secretary Rex Gatchalian personally visited Albay to meet with Governor Noel Rosal and several local chief executives.
Tinulungan natin yung mga local government units na mag-provide ng tents, non-food items, food items, at meron kami ready-to-eat packs kaagad na dinistribute. Right now, meron tayong 144,000 on the ground. Meron pang 100,000 na parating na anytime mula sa aming repacking center sa Maynila at sa Cebu.
Nearly 1,000 families, or more than 3,500 residents, have already been evacuated from the 6-kilometer danger zone of the volcano. Meanwhile, Governor Rosal told 1PHS sa totoo lang that keeping residents from returning to the danger zone is a major challenge for LGUs, as many rely on the area for their livelihood, highlighting the need for sustainable resettlement programs.
Mataba ang lupa kasi sa Mayon. It's a giant treasure, no? Hundreds of hectares. Ang mga gulay namin galing dyan, no? So isa ito sa talagang dapat pag-aralan namin. Kung papayagan natin magtanim dyan pa, imposible natin na mapaalis yan. Kaya kailangan talaga sa ngayon, we have to provide them other lands or idle lands para may mataniman sila.
Joining us now is Governor Noel Rosal of Albay. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, Governor. Thanks for joining us. This is Angela again, and with me is Diego po.
Angela, good morning. Thank you again for having me.
Opo. Now, Governor, ano po ba yung current situation natin around Mayon Volcano? At of course, nakakakita po kami ng mga update ng mga activities po kasi ng Mayon.
Yes, actually, kakamit lang namin ng PHIVOX, ano? Ganito ang situation. 2 nights na po, continuous ang PDC, yung pyroclastic density current. Yes. No? But nakikita yung PHIVOX, wala pa yung characteristic na itaas nila to alert level 4. No? So meaning, wala pa yung ingredients, yung magma.
Right.
Kaya talagang ito yung nakita natin noong 2023, kung naalala nyo, na ganito lang, no? So hindi na tayo nag-raise tayo ng alert level 4. So hindi gaya nung 2018, the ingredients was there. Talagang naging explosive siya up to 2 kilometers, no? Ngayon, so we have to maintain muna itong alert level 3, meaning we have to maintain no human activity sa 6 kilometers permanent danger zone. So ngayon po, ang update natin, all accounted na. Medyo nadagdagan pa nga ng konti kasi yung mga salaylayan, sinabay na natin yung mga malalapit. So we have now from 700 plus, nadagdagan ng more than 100 families. No? Pero okay naman yan. And we are now almost 3,500 in the 17 evacuation centers of Albay. No? And binisita pa lang ito ni Secretary Rex Gatchalian. Maganda naman at nakapagbigay na tayo ng good for 15 days.
Governor, ano po ba yung magiging batayan natin na makapag-push tayo for alert level 4?
Alert level 4, ang sinasabi sa akin ng PBOX, titingnan nila kung yung magma, talagang yung pressure. Kasi may measuring tool tayo dyan, ano?
Yeah.
Nakita nila. Then they will advise me 1 week before. Pag nakita nila, para makapaganda na tayo.
Yes, Carl?
Yeah.
13,000 family at least, no? Pag talaga nag-alert level,
Nawawala po kayo.
will separate the men. Hello, Lo?
Yes,
Ayun,
okay
go
na,
ahead
Rob.
po.
Nawala po
Okay,
kayo.
can you repeat that po? What you said?
Itong 13,000 families, ito yung talagang iba na to. Siyempre, mapupuno ang mga evacuation centers natin.
Yes, Gov, beyond the 6-kilometer danger zone, yung medyong safe pa, meron na po pong balita
Pilit
na
mo muna.
nagpapa-evacuate sila preemptively?
Yes. Ang preemptive po natin, repeat natin, yung 6 kilometers permanent danger zone.
Okay. And kamusta na po, Governor, ang quality of air around that, even out of the danger zone? May amoy na ba? Kasi I think, I remember, last time na po nagkaroon ng ganito, medyong nagre-reklamo ng ibang residents.
Hindi pa masyado gaano, although may mga isolated tayo, like in Daraga, kasi amihan baga ngayon.
Yes.
So talagang, pag once bumuga siya nag-rockfall, meron na disturb yun, dinadala ng hangin yan. Yan ang nagpuproduce ng asphalt. No? Medyo minsan, how many kilometers na yan kasi malakas yung hangin sa taas.
Oo. At saka ang maganda daw po, pagkaka-explain sa amin ni Katoto Bacolcol ng FIVOX po, medyo mataas-taas daw po kasi yung Mayon Volcano. Kaya,
mataas.
Oo, kaya hindi masyado kumakalat yung hangin. Although meron pa din
isolated
naman.
pa lang.
Opo.
Pero pag nag-explode yan, may matatamaan
Of
talaga ng
course.
asphalt yan.
Oo.
Minsan dumarating pa yan ng Quezon.
Oo nga po oo. Pero,
Malakas yan, Angela, malakas
Opo.
yan.
Oo. Now po, Governor, I remember talking to you, sinabi nyo nga po yung mga long-term plans para po sa mga kababayan natin na talagang permanently i-resettle na away from the Mayon Volcano. I was wondering po kasi if ever baka po tumagal yung ating mga kababayan sa evacuation centers, long-term plan po ulit po ng LGU based on your leadership na magkaroon po kayo ng mas maayos at mas malaki na evacuation. Is that being considered in your plans?
No, hindi na evacuation. We're now considering resettlement. Permanent. No? Actually, kahapon, nag-discuss ulit kami ng 3 mayors. 3 na lang. At least we have to commend also the mayors. Gaya ng ginawa natin sa Legazpi, 0 tayo. At least sa Legazpi ngayon, the main city, tranquilo, wala tayo, tahimik dahil walang evacuation. No? So sabi ko sa kanila, you have to do that also. So in Kamalig, you're talking about 300 families. In Tabaco, 300. And in Malilipot, about ganun din. Ang tingin ko, matutulungan to ng national government sa amin ang lupa. Then ang challenge talaga dito yung anak buhay, no? Yung livelihood. Ito ang pinag-uusapan namin ng political will talaga ito, Angela. And sinong kasama mo, ma'am?
Si Angelo, si Diego po.
Angelo, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Alam mo,
Yes, Gab.
ito talaga political will. Political will talaga ito. And anyway, sana last na to, dang susunod tayo mag-interview, Angela, hindi na ako mahiya. 6 kilometer permanent, tapos may ini-evacuate tayo. Dapat wala kasi permanent, di ba?
That's true. Oo, lagi po yan kasi pinag-uusapan natin. Of course, yung livelihood din po ng mga evacuation, mga evacuees. Oo.
Yeah, lahat ng big network siguro tataka. Bakit 6 PDC? may mga evacuation.
Oo.
Kaya nga permanent eh.
Opo, that's true,
But
that's true.
anyway, hindi naman po ganun kadali kasi nga mga barangay to, may political issue to kasi siyempre boboto yung mga
Yeah,
tao.
voters.
Yes, oo.
Malaking kabawasan yan kay kapitan sa barangay kaya pag-uusapan talaga namin.
Oo, okay. And so far po, Gov, yung pagdating po sa basic necessities ng ating mga evacuees, meron pa naman po tayo sapat na supply sa kanila, para sa kanila?
So far, kung ito lang, hindi naman sa confident tayo, kayang-kaya natin itong 1,000 families almost. Kaya natin ito kahit 6 months. Pero siyempre, sa tulong din ng national. Nandiyan na yung national government.
Paano po yung pag-aaral, pagbabalik po ng mga estudyante na affected po by this activity ng Mayon?
Well, ito ang maganda, no? 'Di ba? Kakabalik ko lang na governor, ano? Ito nakita ko kasi nag-ikot ako. Yung mga gaya ng Tabaco City, merong project yung BUB, yung DILG noon. May mga evacuation centers na hindi na ginagamit yung paralan. Napakaganda itong pwedeng gamitin sa ibang bayan, ano. Kaya kakaunti na lang, meron na lang ata kami malilipot, no? Na wala pa talaga. So ito ang concentrate natin na isa pa palang challenge to. Pag nawala na tayo 6 kilometers, hindi na natin madidisturb itong mga bata.
Oo.
Yung ibang munisipyo ngayon, I talked to the DepEd, gawin na muna yung apektuhan, may morning, ihatiin na muna morning, afternoon yung klase. Kasi magbabakasyon na, kawawa yung mga bata, mapagpatuloy lang natin yung pag-aaral.
Yes. Pero hindi po ninyo sinuspend muna ang mga klase.
Hindi pa kailangan, Angela, kasi alert level 3. Pag alert level 4, we have to decide on that. No?
Gov, tapos meron na bang coordination ng DOH? Kasi I remember also yung nangyari sa Taal, nagko-coordinate sila carefully sa mga LGU kasi binabantayan nila yung respiratory illnesses na pwedeng po mag-develop due to yung nangyayari sa activity sa volcano.
Yes, andito na yung regional office nila, saka provincial office from day 1. Naka-monitor tayo. As a matter of fact, sila ang in charge natin sa mga face masks ng LGU. Naka-ready po tayo. Thousands of face masks ang ating ready kasi nga for any eventuality. Ito talaga ang magiging labanan dito, ang asphalt.
Tsaka Gov, yung face mask na ito ata N95 yan, no Gov?
Yeah, 95 dapat. Hindi pwede yung sa surgical.
Yes.
Kasi may quantum, may solid particle to, di ba? May solid particle.
Yes, that's right.
Hindi lang natin nakikita pero may solid particle po yan. Nakakatakot yan.
Okay. Gov, paano po natin binabantayan yung areas na na-evacuate na po ng mga residente to make sure wala pong babalik? At saka ang tanong din po, meron po ba na mga pasaway na bumabalik po doon sa kanilang bahay? Kasi hindi rin po natin sila masisi. Yung iba, yung mga pets po nila, yung mga pangkabuhayan po nila nandoon.
Yeah. Muna, salamat tayo. At day 1 din, nandun na yung 49th IB ng Philippine Army. Talagang, push button yan. Nandiyan na yan sa sistema natin. We're doing this through the years. Andun yung PNP rin, naglagay din ng company sila doon. So, nandun tayo, may checkpoint tayo. Yung mga pasaway, meron mga konti-konti. Alam mo naman kasi yung mga pananim nila, yung mga hayop. Kaya nga kahapon, yung budget yan, inallocate na natin. Cluster din tayo ng yung hayop pa isang problema yan, kaya bababa din natin. Una muna, yun nasa 6 kilometers.
Oo, yun ang importante kasi ang hirap din iwan po din sila kasi these are mga buhay din naman po sila. And of course, yung tanong din po dito, Gov, ano po yung ating mga preparation or yung mga coordination with FIVOX and other agencies to make sure na kayo po ay well coordinated in terms of, making plans nga po dito para sa mga residente affected by the recent activities ng Mayon Volcano?
Yes, meron kaming APSIMO. I have a people there na nandun mismo. Every minute hanggang gabi yan, nakamonitor kami. And we were given, ang usapan namin, we have to know it in advance palagi. Kung nakita nilang may abnormality talaga, we have to move now. Hindi pwedeng real time yan kasi mahirap, matataranta ang mga tao.
So hindi na kayo nakakatulog, Gov?
Okay naman. Last night, I nakatulog tayo ng mga 1 o'clock. Pero ngayon, ikot tayo. Ngayon, mapunta ako sa Kamalig. Kasi yung Tagaytay, maraming evacuees doon. I have to see kung kamusta yung sitwasyon. Yung pagkain, okay naman siguro. Pero yung tubig, yan ang gusto kong makita.
Oo. Isa pa yun sa dapat ma-check natin. Pero, Gov, yung kamusta po? Tourism ng of course, ng Albay. Yan po ay isa din po sa mga tinitignan po natin ngayon kung if this going to be affected by the activities ng Mayon.
Actually, Angela, sa totoo lang, pag ganito, may nag-i-increase yung hotel occupancy namin. Basta ang rule lang namin, sumunod lang, may mga view deck kami dito. Ang famous dito, I hope kung nabalita mo yung Linion Hill, yun ang famous.
Yes,
Bubuksan ko ulit ngayon. Para doon lang sila. That's about 15 kilometers, but full view of Mayon.
Yeah. And even
Lahat ng mga turista natin nandyan. Lahat.
Because I heard, Gov, may mga
Lalo
grupong...
na paggabi, fireworks talaga. Maganda talaga tingnan.
Yun gusto ko tanongin, Gov, kasi may mga grupong, yung mga tinatawag din, yung mga volcano watchers, sa mga content creator.
They're welcome.
Oo. Pero minsan ko...
Hindi naman kinukuha natin na maghirap, ha?
Pero binabantayan niyo ba, Gov?
Hinabangan namin 2018, dami ng turista namin.
Pero binabantayan niyo, minsan may mga pasaway, Gov, na sumisingit eh.
Hindi, kasi magdadagdag tayo ng enforcers. Pag meron na tayong mga demarcation, 8 kilometers din extended yan. That's a perfect kwan ng Albayan. Hindi yan pwede pasukin nila. Kasi alam namin yung mga entry. We have about 13 entry points.
Okay.
Lahat yan sarado. Otherwise, dadaan sila dun sa delikado, mga rabi na yun. Hindi naman sila pwede dumaan doon kasi may mga bangin doon.
So para malinaw, Gov, bubuksan niyo yung view deck para sa mga gusto tumingin?
Yes.
Okay.
Kapag gabi. Alright, sige po, Governor, patuloy po kami makipag-coordinate sa inyo regarding this issue. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, Governor Noel Rosal of Albay. Alright, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Two minority lawmakers have petitioned the Supreme Court to strike down the remaining unprogrammed appropriations in the 2026 national budget. Mamayang Liberal Party List Representative Laila De Lima and Caloocan 2nd District Representative Edgar Erice are asking the High Court to declare the 150 billion peso funds unconstitutional and to stop their implementation. They argue the funds lack a clear source and violate constitutional spending rules. The Department of Budget and Management, or DBM, says the unprogrammed funds are constitutional standby items and not blank checks.
Kaya kami dumudulog ngayon para mag-guide na ang Kongreso. Kasi ina-expect namin na hanggat walang magiging malinaw na ruling ang Supreme Court tungkol sa constitutionality ng unprogrammed appropriations na it runs in the billions.
Yung dapat sana nating mga pinakikinabangang proyekto at programa na ng gobyerno na baliwala, napalitan ng mga ghost projects, napalitan ng mga substandard projects.
Some senators are pushing back against Senator Amy Marcos's claim that the 2026 budget could be used to push for Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment. Here is the report.
Senator Amy Marcos's claim that the 2026 budget will be used to attract votes for a renewed push on Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment did not sit well with some senators. She accused lawmakers of funneling funds into so-called soft pork programs to bankroll the Vice President's impeachment. But Senator Erwin Tulfo, who did not sign last year's impeachment complaint as a congressman, said the budget was not intended for politicking.
That's her opinion, pero kung sa akin, wala naman ako nakikita na ganun. So, I don't think so. Ako as Vice Chair, wala akong nakita na pondo para gamitin to operate against the Vice President for her impeachment.
Marcos also alleged that after Senator Rodante Marcoleta was ousted as Blue Ribbon Committee Chair, they were barred from questioning high-ranking officials involved in the flood control scandal, including the President's cousin, former Speaker Martin Romualdez, whom she labeled as the mastermind of the corruption mess. Senate President Tito Soto dismissed these claims, saying no one is being prevented from pursuing those responsible, and called Marcos's allegations just an invention. Meanwhile, Senator Ping Lacson, who replaced Marcoleta in his post, chose not to dignify what he described as unfair, untruthful, and baseless allegations. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, we are One News.
Joining us this morning to discuss the 2026 budget is Dr. Froilan Calilong, a professor at the University of Santo Tomas. Good morning. Prof, thanks for joining us again.
Yes, good morning, and good morning also to our televiewers. Happy New Year. Thank you for having me again.
Of course, we have a lot to unpack regarding this issue sa budget. Unahin na po natin your reaction to Senator Imy's claim that the 2026 budget could be used for political gain, most specifically doon sa pag-file ng impeachment complaint against VP Sara.
Well, I think these allegations are not at all baseless, primarily because we actually have seen this in the previous year when they actually used the 2025 GAA to actually, as being alleged, to actually give to several congressmen in order for them to be able to sign the impeachment complaint. No? And I think this is nothing new, basically. But what I believe is important here is for the senator to actually come up with, evidences that will actually justify and solidify her claim regarding this, because these are actually very strong allegations to begin with. But I believe that the good senator will have to come up with evidences to actually justify this claim, and at the same time, maybe tell us her sources as well of this news. Otherwise, this may actually be dispelled as just mere rumors or maybe an opinion on her side.
Ano yung effect nito, Prof, with all these allegations at the start of the year on the two institutions that have seen previously dati, Senado ang mataas, tas Congress ang bumababa, but now parang baliktad ngayon. How does this affect the image? And of course, looking at the reaction of the people who are, there's already an amount of distrust towards these institutions.
Well, because when we try to look at the dismal performance in terms of the trust and confidence of the public, I think we're looking at it not only from one particular department. I think the distrust that the public is feeling right now actually amounts to a greater magnitude that covers all the different instrumentalities and all the different institutions of the government. Primarily because when we talk about corruption, mainly, this is not just simply a doing of one particular branch alone. This is a whole of a government approach thing. So it's very orchestrated, systematic, and synchronized. So yun yung perception kasi na naiisip ng taong bayan ngayon. Kaya kung makikita natin, in the past surveys, hindi lamang yung presidente ang nagiging apektado rito, kundi yung buong gobyerno primarily. And I think what the government needs to do here, what the president needs to do to turn things around, is to really be more steadfast and be more concrete with his measures regarding the flood control scandal.
Hindi ba kailangan, Prof, do you think na parang madami nagsasabi, a lot of people are looking at it the wrong way, no? Corruption, well, it begins, of course, sa budgeting, but of course, hindi po makokorrupt yung pera kung hindi sa implementation part, no? Baka nakakalimutan natin, we're so focused on the budgeting, we're losing sight of the fact na on the ground level, that's where it really starts. So, do you think that oversight, kailangan tignan din itong administrasyon? Baka may problema tayo sa mechanisms.
Yes, I totally agree with that, Jago. And I think what is important here, like I said, yung whole of government approach dapat, and the president should really be on top of this kasi ang implementation side naman talaga, nasa executive yan, nasa executive siya. But then again, I think what is important here, what is imperative, is for the different agencies and for the different institutions of the government to really come up with a confidence building measures that will somehow assure the public na talagang nagagamit itong pondo ng maayos. And I think what is important here also is yung accountability and at the same time yung transparency. Kung magkakaroon tayo ng mga mechanisms by which we know how every peso of the government is being spent, I think mas magiging maganda yun. That's why I'm very much in favor of the Cadena Law, wherein we're going to be able to make use of itong blockchain technology, para masiguro natin na lahat ng pondo nagagamit talaga ng tama in real time. And I think this will somehow bring back the trust and confidence of the public into how every taxpayer's money is being spent.
Well, Prof, I also want to ask you about the rumor na cabinet revamp of this administration. Okay, ilang araw na yan pinag-uusapan, and of course, ang Malacanang through their spokesperson Yuse Claire Castro has already denied this. Pero yun nga, is this also para nakikita natin because of the trust rating ng Pangulo na bumababa, kaya may mga ganitong baka sakali magkaroon ng revamp sa kanyang cabinet members?
Well, this could be a good measure on the part of the president, pero I would say this is just a piecemeal initiative on his part. No, what I mean is that in order for him to really regain the public trust, I think it really needs to start with himself. No, yes, I think makakatulong ito, especially if the people that he will be putting in these positions will be able to perform better compared to those that are currently in power. I mean, currently handling this position. Because let's face it, may mga cabinet secretaries talaga tayo that I think are not performing at par with what is expected of them. For example, sa tourism industry natin, we lag behind almost all of our ASEAN counterparts sa baba ng ating tourism revenues that is being generated for the past year. So I think kailangan talaga natin ng pagbabago dito, no? But more than that, I think it's the president's call at this point in time, and the reason why patuloy yung pagbaba ng kanyang survey rankings, tutumbukin ko na, no, is primarily because the public is not satisfied at all with how the flood control scandal, the investigations is being run. No? Talagang yun yung punot dulo naman ito, no? Kung gusto ng Pangulo na iangat yung kanyang survey rankings at ibaguhin ang kanyang mga numero, kinakailangan mas decisive ang approach niya, kinakailangan mas solid at comprehensive yung kinakailangan na gawing mga kaparaanan para talaga mapanagot natin yung malalaking isda dito sa iskandalo na to. But that is also very problematic on the part of the President, especially kung meron siyang pinagtatakpan at meron talaga siyang pinoprotektahan dito sa issue na to.
Diretso ko na, Prof. Is the ICII a failed project and was it just created to tame down political noise? Kasi mukhang wala nang bite, walang kagat ang ICI ngayon eh.
Exactly. I actually felt the same thing, no, from the time that it was created. And nung umalis dito si Mayor Benji Magalong, nawala na ako ng kumpiyansa dito sa ICI. For one, wala talaga siyang ngipin, ano? Wala naman talaga siyang sapat na kakayahan, no, to actually enforce its mandate. At the same time, yung structure niya problematic din, ano? So I think it's really more of an appeasement thing, no? Appeasement para kahit paano pakalmahin yung hinaing ng taong bayan during that time. Remember that when the ICI was created, this was actually in the heels of several protest rallies that we staged last year. No? So again, this was created to primarily subdue the emotions of the people. Pero nakita naman natin, no, kung talagang may kakayahan itong ICI, dapat may nangyari na sa investigation na to ngayon. Pero as we see it, it's really very sluggish. It's not moving anything forward. Wala talaga nangyayari. So, I think it's best na talagang mas maganda na mabuwag na lang yung ICI basically.
Well, have you seen the budget, Prof? Because I want to ask your opinion on the, of course, the issue on soft pork, yung mga giniling, and of course the unprogrammed funds na is being challenged ngayon before the Supreme Court by Congressman Laila De Lima and Erice.
Well, I do agree with that. For as long as there are unprogrammed appropriations, we can never come up or we can never say that we have a budget that is totally clean. No? Because unprogrammed appropriations, basically, yun nga, hindi natin alam kung kailan sila pupondohan, hindi rin natin alam kung ano yung mekanismo kung paano sila mailalatag sa atin, sa publiko. No? Because definitely this goes several months or several time after the budget has already been approved. Now, so for as long as nandyan yung mga unprogrammed appropriations, nandyan itong mga discretionary fundings, no, mananatiling questionable itong ating budget. And definitely, what we're seeing right now is a budget that is technically the biggest in the history of the country. But you need to understand that we are also suffering from a very large budget deficit at this point in time. So, saan na naman natin kukuhanin to, no? Syempre, dagdag na naman to sa ating foreign debt borrowing at dadagdag na naman to sa ating foreign debt servicing. So, this is really quite problematic for us, not to mention mention that the economic imperatives of the country is really not in a very good shape at this point in time. We have a very high, the GDP target was not met, definitely. Mataas ang ating inflation, mataas ang ating unemployment, mataas ang peso-dollar exchange rate. There is capital flight and investor confidence is very, very much affected by the corruption scandal. So I think, all these things does not really paint a very good future for us. And if the president, like I said, really want to turn things around, it will have to be done the soonest possible time because he is already, if I'm not mistaken, entering, or if not, he is already in the lame duck phase of his presidency.
2 years na lang.
Oo.
And plus, not to mention yung yung revenue natin through BIR collection is also problematic at this point. Okay, Jago.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for your time and insights, Dr. Froilan Calilong, and for joining us this morning.
Anytime. God bless and Happy New Year.
All right, Ombudsman Boying Remulla made his first press appearance of the year, dismissing reports that he had been rushed to the hospital. Remulla said he is in good health and described the rumors as part of an orchestrated disinformation campaign. He has asked the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, to probe those spreading false information about his condition.
Talaga makikita mo yung bad faith. There's really an orchestrated campaign. I don't know for what purpose, pero tingin ko it's part of the propaganda machine of some political quarters. I think I'm okay. I work out every day. I sleep early. I wake up early.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us.
Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. Devotees also gather at the San Sebastian Church for activities in connection with the Feast of the Black Nazarene. Let's get the latest from our mobile journal, Jazz Paredes. Jazz, how's the situation there?
Eko, Angela, nagsisimula na nga mapuno itong harapan sa San Sebastian Church ahead nung dungaw na asahan mamaya. At kanina, naglibot-libot tayo ang ilan sa mga liboto dito. Simula kanina pang madaling araw nag-aantay. Kahit pa hindi nila alam kung ano yung eksaktong oras na dadating dito yung andas ng buong mahal na Nazareno. Pero hanggang simula madaling araw ay nag-aantay na sila dito dahil ang kanila daw balak ay yung kanilang imahe ay isusunod nila doon sa posisyon. Ang ilan kasi sa mga tao na nag-antay dito ay may mga pamilya, gaya ng mga bata, kanilang mga apo, o di kaya naman may mga kapansanan o mga nakakatanda. Kaya naman imbes na doon sila magsimula sa Quirino Grandstand para sumunod sa andas, ay dito na nila aabangan sa dungaw. At ito ay papakita ko sa inyo yung sitwasyon sa aking likuran. Medyo kanina ay hirap lang tayo talagang makagather ng signal. Kaya naman nahihirapan tayo maglibot, pero ito ay papakita ko sa inyo, Diego, Angela, yung kasalukuyang sitwasyon dito. Ito yung ating sitwasyon dito sa harapan ng San Sebastian Church. Kung makikita nyo, maluwag pa naman yung dito sa harapan sa kung saan gaganapin yung dungaw. Pero dito sa aking kanan ay makita nyo unti-unti nang napupuno ng mga deboto. Ang ilan dyan, mga naka-standby na mga kapulisan, habang iba naman ay mga deboto. Ang ilan dyan nanggaling na doon sa andas at dito na ulit sila mag-aantay sa pagdating sa dungaw. Hanggang ngayon ay wala pa tayong masabing eksaktong oras kung anong oras magsisimula. Pero base doon sa nakaraang taon ay around 5:45 p.m. Dumating or nagsimula yung dungaw dito. At hindi pa natin masabi sa ngayon kung ganong oras ulit simula yung dungaw. Pero aabangan natin Jextel Church ang andas.
Alright.
All right, thank you for that report. Mobile Journal Jazz Paredes reporting from Manila.
Okay, so sa ngayon po, I was checking kasi yung natin, yung monitor natin. Yung unang bahagi po ng andas, papalapit na ng Carlos Palanca Street sa Maynila. Yan po yung pagbabaya ng Ayala Bridge.
Yung tulad na sinasabi ni Evan na wala pa rin as of now, Ayala Bridge mismo.
Pababa po yan ng pagkababa ng Ayala Bridge po yan.
So medyo bumagal nga ng konti.
Okay, so yun nga kasi maaga umalis, nagsimula yung translasyon from Quirino Grandstand, 4 o'clock umalis as compared to last year, they left 4:41. Last year was the longest on record na mahabang translasyon which was done 20 hours and 45 minutes. No? Ngayon, ang target ng NCRPO is to be done at around 12 hours.
So,
no?
meaning-
Pero we don't know yet if that's going to happen.
Kung 12 hours meaning 4 a.m., 4 p.m. tapos na dapat.
Yes.
Kung yan ang goal.
Oo. So, yun nga, no, ang ruta naman kasi ng procession na yan will cover 5.8 kilometers, cutting through 3 plazas, parks, 1 underpass, 6 bridges, and 18 national and city roads. No? And of course, habang nangyayari po yan, there will be 12 prayer stations positioned along the way, while there are more than 18,000 na nakadeploy na military and medical personnel, of course, to check the crowd as they go along the traslasyon. Okay, so ang traslasyon po ay national na feast, parang Santo Niño feast dito sa Philippines. So right now nakikita po natin ngayon yung ongoing situation sa Minor Basilica and the other one sa may pagbaba ng Ayala Bridge, tama ba?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, in unison with the devotees of the Traslasyon, I'd like to leave everyone with a quote. In every step of the Traslasyon, it is not only feet that move, but faith and the heart that journey together. And that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again on Monday. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
Lemang Castro III, the kapatid We Are One News.
All sides, all the time.